Hello and welcome to another weekly update. I hope you're doing well. Whatever it is you're doing this week, I hope it's going to be a good one. So some things to talk through from the past week, things that have been happening. The first of those is a blog post that I put out in the week, and it's around Microsoft Teams and apps and the App Store. So as you know probably, but in case you don't, inside Microsoft Teams there's an entire App Store ecosystem now. And that, I mean, there has been from the start, but it's, recently it's actually kind of been built out more and more. It's recently had a UI refresh. You can now, as a developer, you can charge money for applications that go into the store. You can have subscriptions. You can have like hooks into kind of prompt people to like do in-app purchasing and move up a subscription or down a subscription as well within your application. So lots of new functionality being added. One of the things that hasn't been covered up until now, but now we have some more information about it, thanks to some information that went into the Microsoft Docs recently, is information about how your app does and how it ranks in search results in the App Store. So this is users inside Teams looking for their application, looking for what it is they want to install next, using the search and browsing categories. And if you go and look in the App Store, you'll see that sometimes some apps are promoted in a bar along the top, the promo bar. And then also when there's a search, and then obviously the results of that search are ordered in some way. So what controls the ranking of A, what shows up in those promo bars, and also B, like the search results, the ranking of search results. And this is more than just kind of interest. If you're an ISV, if you're an independent software developer, if you're building apps that you're charging money for, this stuff really matters, because the higher you rank, whether or not you show up in those promo bars directly correlates to more installs and more usage, means more money. So it's a really big deal if you're an app developer. So there is a disclosure statement that Microsoft put out recently in their docs to give some information about the ranking parameters that are used. And there's a few things that are worth calling out here. I thought that were worth calling out. I mean, first of all, the first thing they say is that like this document is not it's not exhaustive, right? This is intended to give you an idea. It's not meant to be like written down in stone, and so there might be other things that they take into account. I think the point of the document is really just so we understand the kinds of things that Microsoft think about and the things they have been thinking about as they've been writing those search algorithms. And then the other really important thing I thought that I'm really glad that they put in, actually, because it immediately removes any confusion or risk of kind of people getting the wrong idea or anything like that, is this. So all of the apps are evaluated equally, and that includes Microsoft's own apps. So no publisher, including Microsoft, is artificially given an advantage in search results or in the promo bar. And I thought that was really good to see, but also very important to call out. So there's 5 things that that Microsoft use in ranking. Historic usage. So, how is your app done in the past? How many people are using it right now and have done in the past? What's the user engagement like? So you've got people you've got your install base, but actually what's the usage like? Do people use your app every day, every month, whatever? There's an area around, one of the ranking parameters is around app quality and value. So for me, that's a little bit fluffier. That's what defines quality and value, right? Because value especially, like one person's value is not going to be the same as another person's value. And also, what's the bar for app quality? I think that's an area where it would be nice to have a bit more information on that and a bit more understanding. Another ranking parameter is relevance to the audience. So that might be a particular language or in a particular sector or a particular vertical, like education or enterprise, whatever. And then the final ranking parameter Microsoft talk about is how fresh the app is in terms of its app updates or its new releases. So if you've got an app that hasn't been updated for years and years and years, that's not going to rank as well as an app that gets updated monthly. There's a really interesting, I've got a blog post about this, and you can go read in more detail with some screenshots, everything I've just said. But I also came up with kind of 3 tips, if you like, for ranking high. And one of those is to release often. So you can go and read the other 2 on the blog post if you want, but the one I wanted to just kind of mention here was releasing often, which is kind of really important, because if you think a lot of apps and their experience, it's a bot or it's a tab, and actually the code for a lot of that lives elsewhere. It lives in your website, it lives in your API code, and you might be updating that really regularly and changing and keeping the experience that users have very fresh. Teams App Store doesn't know that because you never update your manifest. So it's really important to keep bumping manifest versions and providing details of the changes you're making. It's also worth reviewing every now and again. Can I add more capabilities? There's more capabilities coming to Teams all the time and coming to that manifest. Can I build those into my application, make my application better? So lots to consider if you own an app, and if ranking in the App Store is an important thing for you, then go check all that stuff out. And I hope it's all useful. All right, let's talk about something else. Here is a new blog post from Nick Kramer on the Microsoft 365 platform team. And this is talking about some new things coming to Microsoft Graph APIs. So the ones that kind of really called out to me as being new and interesting that I hadn't heard about before. I think this chat message stuff, I think we have talked about before. I'm pretty sure I've blogged about and done videos about before. There's new resource-specific consent permissions for some of those, which is good. This was entirely new. I don't think I'd ever seen this before, or maybe I have and I've forgotten it, whatever. Tags. So you can do this in Teams at the moment. You can tag people. You can create groups of tags, like all the nurses, all the managers, whatever, all the DevOps in your organization, whatever it might be. Then you can just, it's easy then just kind of tag all those people in one go and get a message out to them and get their attention. There's a set of APIs now to support that. So you can now dynamically tag people, or I say dynamically, via an API, tag people, which is good. So they're good for two reasons, actually. Firstly, if you're an organization that uses this inside Teams to create lots of tags to reference lots of different people, you've just made a really useful database of who is in what group. And so the ability to get that data out again from an API is really good. And then also going the other way, if you already had that list somewhere, you can keep Teams updated so that people don't have to go and create that list again. You can use your APIs to kind of sync that stuff together. So I think that was really cool. Good to see. Excuse me a minute. Dear me. Yeah. So anyway, this is really good to see. It's nice to see the APIs keep up with the functionality. I think that's good because it allows good integration. It allows really better usage of the functionality and the tools as well, because people are more likely to use tags now if they can keep them up to date via, from some other system they have. And also if they see that people adding things to tags is providing value that they can reuse elsewhere in their organization. So big thumbs up for all of that. And thanks to Nick for the blog post. All right, what's next? It's the start of another month, and so that means it's another what's new in Microsoft Teams blog post. So this is the one for February. I'm not going to go all the way through it, but if you are scanning it looking for the developer content and you don't see it, for some reason it's been missed off this table of contents, but it is here. So if you go past, where is it? Before the management stuff, there's a Power Platform and custom development section, which is kind of hidden a little bit. There's a few things in here. There's not loads of new stuff particularly, but it's worth just kind of scanning to see if there's anything that you haven't seen before. We've talked about some of these things already. I think this was new to me, so I thought that was interesting. Now you're not going to be able to see it. Here it is. So Power Automate actions for some new Power Automate actions. So being able to create a Teams meeting, which is kind of cool. Being able to send a message to a channel, get an app mention token, create a team, add users to a team, and then a new trigger for when a user leaves the team. So if you're doing things with Power Automate and creating flows, then this will be useful to you because it's new things that you can do, a new trigger, and then some new actions as well. So that is all very nice. I think everything else we've talked about previously. I think this is kind of a bit of a wrap up of things that have come over the past, not just the month actually, but kind of the past couple of months as well, just to make sure everyone understands what's going on and knows that things are happening. And so just covering off some of that news. But yeah, that Power Platform stuff I don't think, heard of before. So so that's cool. All right, and finally, one more thing to talk about. And this is not specific really to Teams development, but I imagine it will be of kind of broad appeal to many of you. And that is the LinkedIn integration with Microsoft Teams, which I didn't bother writing up because, like I say, it's not really to do with development as such. But someone who has written it up is Tom Arbuthnot, and so I'll put a link into his blog post because it goes into some good detail about what's happening and why. Well, not so why, but like what's happening with the timelines, I suppose. It's interesting that, it's actually been quite a long time since Microsoft bought LinkedIn, and they talked about the integration then, and then it did sort of happen, but not really. But now I think we're starting to see the integration we all thought we were going to see back in kind of 2016. So it's cool. There's a tenant admin setting. You need to turn it on, and then it will kind of interestingly bring it in as a tab in your one-to-one conversation, which is an odd way. Is it an odd way of doing it? I don't know. Initially, my first thoughts when I thought this were like, oh, that's going to be an odd experience. But actually, it sort of makes sense. This is Microsoft using the tools they have. This is an integration point. It's nice in some ways that Microsoft are using the same integration points that us developers have as well. They're not doing anything special. They're not doing anything kind of different. They're using the same integration tools that we have. And I think that's better, actually, the more I think about it. I think that's nice. The other place they can go, as Tom says, is kind of putting your LinkedIn details in contact cards and bringing in the photos from LinkedIn where you don't have them. And that's definitely true. I think that's probably more the bespoke integration, if you like. What they've done so far is, I guess, pretty much what anybody could do, but you don't quite have the permissions to do it. Maybe you could build a kind of a LinkedIn app and do something similar, possibly. I'm just trying to think that through. I like the idea, though. I like the fact that more or less they're using the same integration extension tools that we all have access to as well to achieve this. I think that's nice, partly because it means that they think that they are the right set of extension tools and we don't need more. And also, if that's true, then it's good to prove it by doing it, right? If it's not true and this doesn't work, then that's really good feedback for them as well. But I think it will be, and I think it is true. So it's a good validation as well to kind of prove the point. So I think it was really good. And so plenty of positives this week. Plenty of good things happening. I don't really know what's happening this week. I know it's going to be busy for me. I'm going to try and get together a blog post about how I use OBS. And I know I said I was going to do that last week and I didn't. I did some other things instead, which are going to be coming out soon, I hope. So keep your eyes out for those. And then looking towards the end of this month, we have Teams Nation, a big community conference focused on Teams, 100% free. You can go and sign up to that. I'm going to be talking there about Teams and ACS. So if that sounds interesting, go and check it out. I did a blog post a couple of weeks ago. You can find it there, or just kind of search for Teams Nation and look through the schedule. There's a lot going on for Teams Nation, just to be warned. There's a lot of multiple tracks and concurrent tracks. So it's one of those things where you might be able to get it after the fact as well. I think so. All the sessions are going to be recorded, I believe. So, which is good because there's an awful lot going on, basically. All right, that's everything from me. Whatever it is you're doing this week, have a great one, and I will talk to you again next time.